Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Gautam's Cooking Adventures. In this episode, we'll take you through the steps to make peas pulao, and this one is going to be cooked in coconut milk. As always, you will find a copy of the ingredients list in the description below this video. Please like this channel, subscribe to it, and click on the bell icon to be notified all future episodes. Thank you. The ingredients required to make the pulao are shown over here. Please remember that you need to use a cup of rice that has to be soaked for at least a half an hour, preferably an hour before we start the cooking. And also we have 1.5 cups of coconut milk, so that's important. All the other ingredients are as you can see. We have drained out the rice and now put it on a sheet of paper just so it can absorb all the water. We really want to get rid of all the water before we start the cooking. In a large dish, we're going to add some oil. Today we're using coconut oil since we're going to flavor it entirely with coconut today. So we're using coconut oil and allow this to heat. We're just using approximately 1.5 teaspoons of coconut oil. We will be using ghee also to complement this. The coconut oil will provide that additional fragrance and the taste that we intend to add to this pulao. Remember, it's a pulao made with coconut milk and green peas. The oil is nice and hot, and to this we're adding the bay leaf and the rest of the dry spices, cinnamon, green cardamom, and the lau, the green chili, and let these fry a little bit. And then we will add to this the onions that we have sliced. These are thinly sliced, and we want them all to open up nicely so that they get nice thin slices of onions. A quick squeeze before you putting it in helps to separate the layers. We're cooking this right now on a high flame. And we're going to add just a little bit of salt to start the bleeding process of the onion so that the onion gives out the water quickly and cooks quickly. We will allow this to cook nicely and brown a little bit. The onions are ready. They've started to brown a bit. Just a slight caramelization, which is just perfect now. And what we're going to add to this is the green peas. Now, if you noticed earlier, we had the green peas in a bowl of water. That was because we were using frozen peas and we were just defrosting it in that process. So we've drained out the water. We're using just plain peas. So this we're adding 3/4 of a spoon of Biryani Masala. Biryani Masala is what we have made at home, and I will have another episode where we will talk about how to make these various masalas. Cook them nicely. You want the masala taste to become, basically masala has got raw ingredients in it, and you want it to cook nicely till that raw taste disappears. We're going to add to this some ghee. Now this is homemade ghee as well, ghee that I made in the Instant Pot. You can see our episode on how to make perfect ghee in an Instant Pot. I will have a link to that episode in this video as well. We're going to add just a little bit more salt to taste. Remember that we are going to be cooking this with rice, so rice will absorb some of the salt from this mixture. So you want to compensate for that by adding probably just a little more salt than you would normally like in the taste at this point in time. Again, remember that always be wary how much salt you put. If you're in doubt, put less salt. You can always add salt at a later stage as well, before the rice completes its cooking. Now, as we're cooking this, we've reduced the flame to a medium flame. Allow it to cook at a slower rate so that all the masalas cook well in the oil and the ghee, and the peas cook as well in the same process. We're now going to add the rice that we have drained earlier into the mix. And toss it nicely, mix all the ingredients together, let the rice get coated by all the ingredients that we have put in together before this. The rice will then take the flavors of all of them. But remember that the rice still has to cook, for which case it will require some sort of a liquid medium. And we will talk about that as we go forward. What we are doing in this process is frying the rice just a little bit, and just the idea is that when the rice cooks, it continues to maintain its granular structure, and it also will separate out as separate grains. It's fried enough. We're now going to add the coconut milk into the mix, and we'll now increase the stove to a high flame. We're going to blend this together, and also at the same time add an equal amount or more of water. Enough to cover the rice so that it allows for it to cook in this blended liquid. Usually the ratio would be 1 cup of rice to 2 cups of liquid, which would have been 1 cup of coconut milk and 1 cup of water. But we want the rice to be slightly softer than normal, so we've added an additional half cup of water into the mix, just to provide that additional amount of water so it can cook a little longer and become softer. We're going to wait for this to start boiling. As you can see, it's already starting to the boil. You can see the bubbles. It would be a good time to check the salt as well. The salt would seem like it is extra at this point of time, but remember that once rice cooks, rice will also absorb some of the salt. It's a fine balance between too much of salt and too little. So just be careful. You can definitely check even as the rice is boiling little later on, and if necessary add salt at that point of time. So erring on the side of caution to be a little less salt than is required at this point of time is still okay. Now that the liquid has started to boil, we are going to place the cover on it and let it cook. You want to make sure that this lid is an airtight lid so that there's no loss of steam. This lid was designed for this particular container, so it's perfect for it. We've also decreased the flame to medium flame, and we're going to let it cook as such. It's been cooking for about 8 to 9 minutes now, or even close to 10 minutes. We're going to check on it. The water is all completely dissolved, mostly. The rice is almost done. It's not complete yet, but it's about 80% done at this point of time. It's still a little moist, and what we're going to do now at this point of time is make sure it's not catching in the bottom, mix it thoroughly, and then allow it to cook with the flame switched off. Just allow the heat itself to cook the rice to its completion. So we have the cover on. The flame has been switched off completely, and it's now going to cook in its own heat. It's been about 8 minutes since we covered the rice. We're now going to check on it. The rice has become not as wet as it was. It's more drier now. The rice itself has fully cooked now, and so it's perfect now to be plated and served. The pulao has been plated along with some dum aloo and some bindi masala, which goes really well with it. I will have links to both of the dishes that we have done earlier for your easy access. Please like this channel, subscribe to it, and click on the bell icon to be notified all future episodes. Thank you. We hope you enjoyed watching this video. Look forward to any suggestions or comments from you, and please do keep supporting us. Thank you for watching.